Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to start this video because we are here. Today is Monday, August 1st. We are here for the first day of the Romance Takeover Readathon Light versus Dark edition. This is a readathon that was organized by Jen from the Book Refuge, and then my lovely co-hosts are Jessin from Jessin Reads Romance, Caitlin from Love Librarian, Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life, Christy from Christy Reads a Lot. Oh, there's gotta be somebody. Oh no, that's everybody. That's everybody. I'm always afraid that I'm forgetting someone, but I will definitely have all of the hosts linked down in the description below. So this is just such a fun readathon idea. Basically, the idea behind it was that Jen came up with prompts for light, gray, and dark romances, essentially. And so the goal was that you could pick a side for this week and read romance novels that fit those prompts. So I'm gonna put my bingo board over here so that you guys can see what prompts, what tropes I decided to go with for this week. I am so pumped, I'm sure you guys can tell. And every day this week there is going to be a live show for reading sprints. So today, Monday, I'm actually hosting the reading sprints. I'm also going to link all of those live shows down in the description if you guys want to watch them after the fact. So yeah, tonight we're just gonna chat and read and just have a fun time. So it's just about 4 p.m. right now. I am 44% of the way through Blindside by Candy Steiner. So this fits two prompts actually, the sports romance prompt, which is a light prompt, and then the new adult prompt, which is a gray prompt. So I have been dying to read this book for a couple of reasons. So Candy Steiner, she is the queen and the master of marketing her own books. She's been posting reels / TikToks where she'll put quotes from the book during steamy scenes, and I'm like, say less, I am sold. I have read a couple books by Candy Steiner before. I read her, I think it's the What He Doesn't Know series. It's a series of 3 books. I really enjoyed that series. That is a very, very angsty love triangle with cheating involved. This is quite a bit different. This is a sports romance, like I said, and it's also fake dating. We have Clay, who is basically like the star of their college football team, and we have Gianna, who works for like the PR department of the football team. And so at the very beginning of the novel, Clay has been dating his high school sweetheart for like 5 years. So she dumps him out of the blue. Like, he really thought he was going to marry her and be with her the rest of his life. And so now he's just devastated. And we have Gianna, who has her eye on this guy who, he's a musician. So she's had a big old crush on him, but he has never ever noticed her. And so Clay and Gianna come to this agreement that they will fake date so that they can make Clay's ex jealous so that she'll want him back, and also that Gianna will then get the attention of this guy that she's been crushing on. I can't remember his name. What is his name? Sean or something? Anyways, so this is basically a fake dating, friends to lovers romance, and I've just gotten past the part where basically their scheme has started to work. Clay's ex now kind of wants him back, and this guy that Gianna's crushing on is kind of crushing on her back, but Gianna has like no experience. Like, she's never had a boyfriend, she's a virgin. And so she asks Clay to give her some sexy lessons, and that's one of my favorite tropes of all time. I need to make a recommendation video for that because I eat that shit up. And so yeah, we just had their first steamy scene, and of course things are getting messy. They're starting to have real feelings for each other. I also just adore Clay and Gianna's characters. Clay is like a flirtatious, irreverent kind of hero, but of course he's got real pain beneath that mask. And then Gianna is like a shy, nerdy, bookish heroine, but she also has a backbone. And I really like Gianna's character too, because I'm seeing how she's sweeping him off his feet. Gianna is like totally swoon worthy as well, the way that she treats Clay. And yeah, like their friendship is just really great. And I'm gonna shut up now because I've already been filming for like 11 minutes and I just want to jump back into this book. According to my Audible app, I have like an hour and 45 minutes left of the book because I'm listening to it at 3.3 times speed while following along with the ebook copy. This is on Kindle Unlimited, by the way. I think a lot of the books that I'm reading this week are on Kindle Unlimited, which is always amazing. But yeah, I think I'll be able to finish this before the live show tonight, and I'll probably just give you guys an update tomorrow at some point. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is almost 7 p.m. It is well past time that I give you guys another update. So as you saw from the little B-roll clips that I put in, we had reading sprints last night. I was hosting them and we had such a fun time. They went on for like a little over 3 hours because we did like 3 30-minute sprints, and then of course we were like chatting and stuff. So it was a fun time for sure. So I finished Blindside by Candy Steiner like an hour before the live stream. I gave this 5 stars. This is one of those books that literally like perfectly met my expectations. And I love when that happens. So of course I couldn't give it less than 5 stars. A couple things that I loved about this book that I didn't mention in my last update. One thing, Gianna, our heroine, she is a virgin, but I love that she's not naive about sex, mainly because she reads smutty romance novels, and so like she knows about things, she just hasn't experienced them herself. And then the fact that Clay steals some of her romance novels and studies the highlighted parts of like the smutty, steamy scenes, and then let's just say he learns from them, learns what she likes and uses that to his advantage. Also, this was just hot, and like the sex lessons part of their relationship was everything, and the fact that he called her Kitten, like why is that nickname so hot? Like why is that sexy? I don't know, but it works, and it really works for them and their story. I'm really happy that I started off this readathon with such a fun read. I had been excited for that book for a while. So yeah, then I'm in the middle of 2 books actually. I started Bright Like Wildfire by Juliet Cross during the live stream last night. I read the first like 25% during that stream, and then I'm now at 46%. There is no audiobook for this, which makes me just a little sad because I just adore audiobooks so much, but it's fine. I'm having such a fun time with this book. This is a book that Jen told me was like written for me basically, and I totally understand why she says that. We have our main characters Betty and Bennett. I'm just now realizing the alliteration, but this takes place in a small town in Louisiana, which is just so fun for me. Juliet is from Louisiana, and it's just fun for me to actually like know the locations that the characters are talking about. And so they, our hero and heroine, are cast as the leads in a straight play at their local community theater. It's kind of a frenemies to lovers situation. I just love the vibe between them. Like Juliet Cross has done an amazing job of building up the chemistry. Like it is blazing hot, the chemistry between these 2 characters. And I love how they get under each other's skin, and Bennett is one of those like seemingly irreverent, flirtatious, arrogant heroes, but of course that's a mask. And Betty's just like very fiery and bold, and they're obsessed with each other. I mean, Bennett especially is like head over heels in love with Betty, like from the beginning pretty much. He's like obsessed with her. And then I'm also currently reading Psycho by Onley James. I read the first 14% late last night as well, just because I wanted to switch it up a little bit between reading a physical book, and I have the audiobook for this one, so I just kind of wanted to switch it up a little bit. This is book 2 in her Necessary Evil series. This one is about August, who is one of the Mulvaney brothers. There's 7 of them. They were all adopted by this scientist, and they're all psychopaths and or sociopaths, and they are trained and raised to become basically vigilante serial killers. They kill people who have done horrible, awful things. So we have August, and then we have Lucas, our other hero. His story is interesting. So August works at a university. He's a tenured professor. We have our other hero, like I said, Lucas. He's also a professor of like criminal psychology, I think. And I think he's what is known as like a clairvoyant. Like if he touches an object or a person, he like sees visions of like that person or that object's past. And so when he touches August, he like bumps into him. He sees just like blood and like people screaming, and of course he's like freaked out. But August is just very like curious and intrigued about Lucas, and so he basically invites him out to dinner, and that's kind of where I stopped. I think I'm actually gonna jump back into this book because I think I could finish it tonight. I think I might have like 6 hours left of the audiobook, and as you guys know, I listen to my audiobooks at least like 3 times speed. So yeah, I might just jump back into this. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm loving it already. I loved book 1, Unhinged, so much. So really excited about that. So with all that being said, I'll definitely just go ahead and update you guys at some point tomorrow. All right, hey everyone, it is Wednesday night. It's definitely past time that I give you guys an update because I finished 2 things and I've started a 3rd book. So late last night, I finished Psycho by Onley James. Gave this 5 stars, nobody's surprised. I finished this like really late last night because I just could not stop listening to the audiobook. Like these books are just paced so well. They're also shorter books. Like I feel like the audiobook is maybe like 7.5, 8 hours. So it's just like really easy to fly through these books. I was absolutely obsessed with Lucas and August. From page 1, there's a couple things that I really enjoyed about their romance. For one thing, August is kind of a submissive hero, which is always fun and interesting to read about. And also throughout the book, August would tell Lucas about a sex fantasy he has, about like a teacher-student relationship, because August is a college professor. Well, they're both college professors now that I'm thinking about it. But August is tenured, like he's been teaching for like years and years, whereas Lucas, this is like his first year teaching at the same college. So yeah, he tells him about this fantasy he has, and so then in the epilogue they actually play it out, and I love that so much. Like it was the perfect epilogue in that way. I feel like I've read quite a few romance novels where the couple will talk about a fantasy they have and then that scene will be like fade to black or it just won't happen, and I'm like, girl, then what was the point of telling us about that? So anyways, this was fantastic. I think this was somehow better than book 1. I don't know how Onley James did that, but I'm absolutely obsessed with these characters, the found family aspect, even the serial killer aspects of this. Like it's all just perfection. And then speaking of perfection, I finally finished Bright Like Wildfire by Juliet Cross, and I also gave this 5 stars. This was like the perfect small town romance for me. First of all, it takes place in a small town in Louisiana. I think I mentioned that in my last update. I just loved Betty and Bennett's relationship throughout the book. And also, I mean, this was written for theater nerds, and that is me to a T. Like, I low-key feel like Juliet Cross wrote this book for me. Like, it's just so good. There's even vibes of like a grumpy heroine, sunshiny hero going on, which I really love. We've got kind of like a frenemies to lovers situation as well. Amazing sex scenes. Oh my God. Like some of the best that I've ever read from Juliet, which is really saying something because her Stay a Spell series is pretty darn sexy. All I'll say is that Bennett brings it with the dirty talk. So there you go. Also, I felt like the second half of this book was stronger than the first half. Like the first half I was really enjoying, but I wasn't really seeing why my friends are so obsessed with this book. Like I probably would have given the first half like 4 stars. Like it was a really good time, but nothing all that mind-blowing. And then in the second half is really where you see the true emotional connection that Betty and Bennett have. And obviously that's where the steamy scenes are happening. And yeah, like I was just hooked by like the 60% mark, I would say. I was like, all right, this is a 5 star. I see why my friends love it so much. And I totally see why Jen recommended this book to me. Like, it absolutely was written for me. So obviously I highly, highly recommend this. And you know what we love is that all of my reads for this readathon so far have been 5 stars. We love that energy for me. Wow, that does not happen often at all, that I read like all these 5-star reads in a row. Like, that's kind of crazy. So I actually started a new audiobook while I was getting ready to film, like while I was doing my makeup and stuff, and that is Ruthless Creatures by J.T. Geisinger. This is book 1, and I believe it's the Queens and Monsters series. It's a dark mafia romance series. I've only listened to the first 2 hours, so I don't know too much of what's going on, but basically we have Nat, who 5 years before the book starts, her fiance disappeared. And so he's been presumed dead at this point. And so she's still very much grieving from that. But then this guy Cage shows up to their very small town, and he tells her in no uncertain terms that he wants her in his bed. And that's pretty much where I stopped the audiobook before filming tonight. So I'll definitely update you guys at some point tomorrow. I'm really excited because I'm doing 2 reading sprints tomorrow. Like, who am I? The first one is going to be on Crystal's channel. That's tomorrow at 1. And then the second one is with Ava from Ava's Romance Books at 6. So we're gonna get a lot of reading done tomorrow. I'm very, very excited about that. And I will definitely give you an update tomorrow. Everyone, happy Thursday. Today was quite the reading filled day because I was on not 1 but 2 live show reading sprints, and yeah, it was just really fun. The first one was on Crystal's channel, and just a little while ago I finished some reading sprints on Ava's channel, so I will of course link those live shows down below. We had a really fun time for sure. So I finished Ruthless Creatures by J.T. Geisinger right before Ava's live show, and I think I'm giving this 4.5 stars. This was a really solid start to this Queens and Monsters series. It's a mafia romance series, and Cage, the hero, I was not ready for him, and like in the best way possible. Like, ya boy was intense from the get-go. We love a hero who's just like, I want you forever. Okay, thanks, bye. Like, pretty soon after they met. Y'all, the sex scenes in this were intense, to say the least. The dirty talk was top-notch. And there's definitely some BDSM going on during their sex scenes. And what I really appreciated is, while Cage is definitely a dominant and Natalie is definitely a submissive, I appreciate that there's one scene where he lets her dominate him, because I've read romances, like BDSM romances. There was one in particular, I can't remember what book it was, but I remember one of the characters talking about how a good dominant will, like while they're doing their research or getting formal training or what have you, they will let themselves be dominated because it really helps them learn about the mindset of a submissive and how to take care of your submissive and just how to be a good dominant. And so I just really appreciated that we got to see him letting her dominate him, and like, yeah, this was just pretty darn fantastic. The audiobook, by the way, was amazing. I am so excited to listen to the audiobooks for the rest of the books in this series, because something that I love, and not nearly enough audiobooks have this, and I can understand why, but something I loved, that most of this book is in Natalie's POV. However, whenever there was dialogue by a male character, the male narrator would say that dialogue. And I just really appreciate when audiobooks have that. It's definitely, you know, kind of going the extra mile, and it's worth it in my opinion. So yeah, the audiobook is definitely the way to go with this book. So then during the reading sprints on Ava's channel, I read a little over half of Lore Olympus Volume 2 by Rachel Smith. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I don't know what's different about this edition. There might be like bonus content in the back, I'm not sure. But this is also like an exclusive cover. I adore this cover. Volume 3 of this, by the way, I think it's coming out in September or October. I can't remember when exactly, but yeah, this is a Hades and Persephone retelling. I'll show you a little bit of what the artwork looks like. I don't want to spoil anything, but that just gives you an idea of what the art style is. I'm obsessed. So I'm reading this for the fantasy prompt and the age gap prompt, because Persephone is 19 and Hades is like over 2,000 years old, so quite the age gap. A romance hasn't really started between the two of them, actually. It's more like, you know, like I said, I'm a little over halfway through volume 2, and it's more just their friends that definitely have feelings for each other, but there's definitely things getting in the way of that. This volume also goes in depth a bit about how at the end of volume 1, one of the characters was sexually assaulted. And so we're dealing with that aftermath and how that character is dealing with that, or trying to deal with that. And yeah, this is phenomenal. I'm sure I'll give it 5 stars. And then after I finish this, I actually really want to jump into volume 3 of Sweat and Soap by Kintetsu Yamada. I think that's how you pronounce the author's name. This is just the sweetest workplace rom-com manga. Yes, it has a slightly weird premise. I talked about this manga series a lot in my end of July reading wrap-up, so I will link that up in the cards above if you are interested. But I am obsessed. Like, volumes 1 and 2 were literal perfection, so I'm gonna jump into this volume later tonight as well. Happy Friday, everyone. So I finished 3 things since I last spoke to you guys, and I also DNF'd a book. So why don't we just kind of go in order of what I read. So last night I finished volume 2 of Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith. I love the artwork of this series. I love the characters. I love the twist that this author has taken with these Greek gods and goddesses. It's just really well done in my opinion, and I'm really glad that I have this Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. Can't wait for volume 3 to come out. I do want to point out that at the end of volume 1 there was a sexual assault, and so in volume 2 we are seeing the aftermath of that, and we are seeing that character trying to cope with it and trying to move on, but moving on is pretty much impossible when the person that assaulted her is still very much in her life, and he's kind of obsessed with her. So I did want to throw that out there, but I love the development of the relationship between Hades and Persephone. It's not a romance yet. I would say it's kind of a friendship at the moment, but they definitely have feelings for each other, and there's other things going on. It's just, yeah, really, really well done. Then late last night, I read the entirety of volume 3 of Sweat and Soap by Kintetsu Yamada. I talked about volumes 1 and 2 quite in depth in my end of July reading wrap up, so I will of course have that linked up in the cards above if you want to know my in-depth thoughts about this series in general. But the basic plot is this is a workplace rom-com manga, kind of a slice of life series as well. It's all about the romance between Asako and Kotaro. Basically, Kotaro has a scent kink, I would say. And they first get together because Kotaro is just obsessed with Asako's scent. And it's called Sweat and Soap because she sweats a lot and she's very self-conscious about that. And so she's like constantly putting on deodorant because she's worried that she smells bad. And so yeah, this is such an adorable and wholesome romance series. There's some really great comedic moments as well. I really love seeing how their relationship progresses throughout these volumes. This is probably one of the healthiest relationships that I've like ever read about. I love how like outside circumstances and situations will come up, but they are open and honest with each other. They have in-depth discussions about their feelings about those situations, and they work things out, and we love to see that. I will say this is probably my least favorite volume that I've read so far, just because I didn't get as many like butterflies and like moments of giddiness that I felt in volumes 1 and 2. So then today's been kind of a long day because I woke up pretty early to do all of the lawn work, mow the lawn, use the weed eater. That's always a great opportunity for me to get some audiobook listening in. So I did listen to the first 2-ish hours of Royally Endowed by Emma Chase. This is book 3 in her Royally series. This is a bodyguard romance, and the heroine of this one is the younger sister of the heroine from book 1. So that's the main connection. I ended up DNFing this, meaning I put this down at the 30% mark. This was fine for me to listen to while I was getting that work done, but I quickly realized once I wasn't doing anything else that I really wasn't invested in the story or the characters. So like this probably would have been a 3-star. Who knows? Maybe it could have been a 4-star had I kept listening, but I just, like I said, I wasn't invested enough, and I felt like I would have been wasting my time if I would have kept listening to it. So I did decide to put this book down. Definitely a bit disappointed because I loved the previous book in this series, which is Royally Matched. I love that book with my whole heart. And then Royally Screwed was also really enjoyable. I gave that 4 stars when I read it. Then today, because I took quite a bit of a nap after I got all my lawn work done, I did read a novella though. I read The Demon Next Door by Chase Verity. So this is the follow-up to, what is it, The Deal with the Demon? Basically, these are just like really sweet and wholesome demon romances, and both novellas featured a single mom. And what I liked about this one especially is that both main characters were single parents. So the demon in this, his name is Nuit, which is the French word for night. And then our heroine was Molly. They're both single parents, and I loved that their sons became really fast friends. Like they became BFFs throughout the novella. And what's really cool about this novella is that Nuit can control shadows, and let's just say that those shadows make an interesting appearance during the steamy scene. There's only one steamy scene in this, but I think that that really works for the vibe of this novella. Plus, this novella is only about 100 pages, so it's a pretty short story for sure. And yeah, like this was just sweet, wholesome, sexy at the same time. There is a 3rd novella out in this little series. I think that one might be MM, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just about 10 p.m. I don't know what I'm gonna read next, but I only have one more prompt to go before I get a complete blackout on the bingo board that I made. I'll put it over here if you are curious and want to see what prompts I have. So I just have a taboo romance to read, and then I will have a complete blackout. So part of me, like I want to read maybe like a taboo novella, and there's quite a few that I could pick from that, but also I have 2 full days of the readathon left. So I could absolutely read a full-length taboo romance novel. So I'm gonna do some brainstorming, and then also I'm excited because I am hosting some reading sprints tomorrow night. And yeah, so I think that is it for now, and I'll talk to you guys later. So it's Saturday night. It's just about 11 p.m. I actually was not planning on doing a check-in for this vlog because I was just gonna do an overall wrap-up tomorrow, and then I could go over what I read today as well as what I'm going to read tomorrow. But I just finished Behind the Bars by Brittany Cherry. So I've read one book by this author before. That was The Gravity of Us. I read that, I want to say this was like back in 2020. Something like that. Like it's been a while, and ever since then, because I loved that book, I gave it 5 stars. Ever since then, I said to myself, okay, this is an author that you need to explore more of her backlist, you know, but I just like kept forgetting about her books and stuff because I own quite a few of her audiobooks. But so this book in particular was one that I know Bree from In Love and Words, I think this is her absolute favorite Brittany Cherry book. And so this has been sitting on my TBR for months, and so I thought that this readathon was the perfect opportunity to just finally pick up another book by her. And like, I don't even know where to start with this review. This book literally gutted me and broke me down and then somehow built me back up. Like my heart, like I feel gutted, but my heart feels full at the same time. Holy shit, this book was incredible. So incredible that I'm literally about to place an order for Amazon to get a physical copy. This is a childhood friends to lovers / second chance romance. We have Elliot and Jasmine. This is also an interracial romance. They fall in love when they're in high school. By the way, this takes place in New Orleans, and I love it so much because this book is like all about music. And so Elliot is into jazz music. He plays the saxophone, and like New Orleans is the city of jazz. Whereas Jasmine is more passionate about soul music. But yeah, they fall for each other in high school. By the way, huge content warning for bullying, like intense, cruel, horrible bullying that goes on when they're in high school. Like, I can't stress enough, if that is at all a trigger for you, like, I would maybe caution you about reading this. There's also huge content warning for loss of a loved one. That death happens on page, and it's violent, and it's awful, and it's terrible and horrible. So once again, if that is a trigger for you, go into this with some caution, or do your own research about maybe the specifics of the trigger or the content itself. Then they become separated. Basically, Jasmine moves away. Jasmine comes back into Elliot's life 6 years later, and Elliot is like a shell of who he was. He's pretty much unrecognizable at this point for a few different reasons. The relationship and romance between Elliot and Jasmine is unlike anything I've ever read before. There is this like soul deep connection between the two of them, and the way that at different times of the book they save each other from their emotional demons, it's just stunning. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. I love side characters that we have going on. Bottom line, this is why I read romance. I cried so much while reading this book. This is just stunning, beautiful, amazing, never been done before, iconic, like that that Lady Gaga meme. Like, that's what this book is. Can't recommend it highly enough. This will most likely show up in one of my best books of the year video. Late last night, I read Love Lessons by Cassie Mint. This is just a solid teacher-student romance novella. I found this to be maybe even a bit sexier than most other novellas I've read by this author. Yeah, there were some hot, steamy moments going on in this. I really don't have much to say. I gave this 4 stars. It's definitely not like one of my top favorite novellas that I've read by this author, but it was still a good time and it fulfilled my taboo prompt. I might watch a movie. I'm just still reeling from behind the bars. Like, so I feel like I need to do something to mentally recover. As much as I loved it, and like I said, it did put me back together again. Yeah, I don't know, man. Whew, it was a lot. So with all of that being said, I will do my final wrap up tomorrow. All right, it is 11:30 p.m. on Sunday. It is officially the end of the Romance Takeover Readathon Light versus Dark edition. So today I read the entirety of The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I was really excited going into this book because our heroine is actually the bodyguard for our hero. So we have Jack Stapleton, he's a movie star, and Hannah, isn't that her name? Yes, Hannah, like I said, ends up being his bodyguard. And so there ends up being a fake dating element to this, which was really fun. And I really liked this overall. Catherine Center writes more women's fiction novels, and I would say that this one, of the now 3 books that I've read by her, this one definitely centers on the romance the most. I would also say that this is the most lighthearted book of Catherine Center's books that I have read, but also at the same time, like, don't let this cover fool you, because there's a lot of like heavier topics going on. At the beginning of the book, Hannah's mother passes away. And so she's dealing with that grief, especially because they weren't very close, especially as Hannah got older and older. And so she's dealing with that. And then Jack, our hero, he lost his brother in a really tragic way, and that ends up being a pretty big part of this plot, because the 2 of them end up going to his family's ranch to stay there for a while, and so all of those family issues come up. So that's also a big part of this story. Also, I want to point out there is a suspenseful scene at the end of this book. Once again, that's pretty common with her books for sure, because that definitely happened in the other 2 books that I've read by her. But I just felt like it was a little weird and out of place. There's some gun violence, a hostage situation, and like, yeah, like, I don't know. I just feel like that scene didn't quite match the vibe of the rest of the book, though there were some beautiful quotes that came out of that scene. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm trying to keep things as vague as possible. That is one thing that I feel like this book did really well, is the writing and like talking about like, what does it mean to be lovable, and how important it is to send love out into the world, basically. I thought that was really well done, but at the end of the day, I liked this romance. It's very slow burn. They don't even kiss till like the 80% mark. This is completely closed door. There are no sex scenes. And I just kind of felt like something was missing from their romance. Would I recommend it? Yes, especially if this vibe appeals to you at all. It's kind of a small town romance as well, because like I said, they spend a lot of time on his family's ranch. Oh, also there is a family member going through cancer in this as well. Like I said, Catherine Center definitely puts heavier elements in her books. But I really loved that the heroine was the bodyguard. I loved that. And I loved that Jack was a famous actor, and the discussions surrounding both of their professions. So clearly I have a bit of conflicted thoughts with this book, but overall it was pretty darn solid. I gave it 4 stars. So that is everything that I read for this readathon. I read a total of 11 books, and then I also read 3 volumes of manga that are not romance manga, so that's why I didn't even bring them up in this vlog. I'll talk about those in my mid-August wrap-up, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I had a really great reading week. I had a lot of 5-star reads. 6 out of the 14 books I've read so far this month have been 5-star reads, and I think that's pretty darn amazing. I'm very happy with that. So I hope that you guys had a fun time if you joined us with this readathon. Thank you so much, Jen, for asking me to be a host. I had a really fun time, especially doing all of the live shows and the reading sprints. Like, that was such a fun time. I definitely want to do more reading sprints going forward. So let me know in the comments if that's something you would enjoy and like to see from me on this channel. So I think that's going to be it for this week-long reading vlog. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I would love it if you would leave a like and subscribe, and I thank you so much in advance if you do. I would also love it if you would leave a comment if you want to discuss any of these books, or if you want to give me recommendations. I always love getting recommendations from you guys. And with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!